Welcome to Absolute Trust Talk with your host, Kirsten Howe. Absolute Trust Talk brings you tips, tools, advice, and interviews to help you build a reliable knowledge base on estate planning, business, and finance to start preparing for your future today.
Hello and welcome back to Absolute Trust Talk. I'm Kirsten Howe, the managing attorney at Absolute Trust Counsel, and Ariana Flynn, one of our associate attorneys, is here with me today. If you've been watching or listening to our last couple of episodes, you'll know that we have a little bit of a story arc going here. We have a 3-episode arc, and this is the third of 3. You will notice that we're wearing the same clothes. Our hair is the same. We're recording this all in one go. It could have been one long episode, but the marketing people say, no, don't do that to your audience. Break it up, make it short. So we've talked about legal documents for healthcare planning, end-of-life planning. We've talked about medical orders for end-of-life healthcare planning. And now we're going to talk about something that, in my experience, a lot of people don't really understand what the options are and what they are not. So we're really now talking about life-ending decisions. And there's a few different sort of categories. In the life-ending realm, there is what we call assisted suicide, where somebody is going to, with the help of others, commit suicide because of medical or what have you. Largely, it's because they're in a medical situation where suicide seems like a better choice. So that's assisted suicide. That is legal in a number of states in the United States, including California. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Another category of life-ending decision-making is what we call passive euthanasia. And so euthanasia means when one person kills another. And euthanasia is what happens with our pets when they get to the end of their life. And for purposes of mercy, we put them to sleep. Put them down is the euphemism we use as euthanasia. Passive euthanasia is the withdrawal of life-sustaining treatment or the withholding of life-sustaining treatment, such as hydration, nutrition, ventilation. If we don't provide nutrition or hydration, a person who is not able to feed themselves will die, and that's considered passive euthanasia. And that is legal in California. We do allow for that under all of our healthcare laws. The last category would be active euthanasia, which is not legal in the United States. And it's something that I've been talking to clients about a lot, and there's a lot of misconceptions, and that's why we're here today to talk about these various things and what can and can't be done. So we'll start by talking about California's assisted suicide, what we have, what we can do, what we can't do. Ariana, do you want to just kind of set that up?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And this is, the clear-cut factual law. We're not talking philosophically or anything.
Good point.
This is what is there, whether you believe
whether
it or
you like it or not. Yeah. Exactly.
So the whole premise of assisted suicide came from the End of Life Option Act, which was effected in 2016. And this allows for terminally ill patients. So terminally ill, meaning the key word here, to request that doctor's prescription for medication to end their life. The doctor prescribes it, the patient does take it themselves. It's also known as medical aid in dying. I've also heard the phrase, dying with dignity. All those kind of phrases and terminologies kind of mean the same thing. It does require very specific conditions to be met, including a terminal illness prognosis from a doctor of 6 months or less. So the prognosis has to be 6 months or less. California residency, so they have to have a California residency, live in California, can't take travelers from other states, and they have to have the ability for themselves to administer the medication. So if they are on, any sort of life-sustaining support treatment or anything where they cannot administer it, this would not be an option. The individual themselves also has to be an adult, so age 18 or over. Again, California resident and, ability, I already mentioned this, to self-administer the medication.
Yeah. And the other thing important to remember, the patient who is asking for assisted suicide, they have to ask for it themselves. In other words, they have to have the capacity to actually make medical decisions for themselves and ask for this prescription. The sort of technical requirement is they have to ask for it twice speaking. They have to say aloud to their doctor, this is what I want. And they have to say it 2 times separated by 48 hours. When the law was originally passed, it was 15 days. And then we amended it, we updated it, and now it's only 48 hours apart. But you have to ask 2 times orally, and then you have to ask in writing 1 time. So basically, you have to 3 times say, this is what I want.
Mm-hmm. And that writing does need to be witnessed as well. Right. And I'm assuming this is innate, but they also have to have the ability to understand the document that they're signing and what they're saying. They can't just say it.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes we have family members who say, well, my dad doesn't have cognitive ability, but he'll sign something if I tell him to. Like,
right.
No,
right.
No, we don't want that. And that's not permitted here. Okay. So then the physician who's signing the document, they've got to confirm that all of these things are true, that the person is 18 years or older, they are California residents, they have a terminal illness, all these things, that they've made the requests as required, and then they are legally authorized to write that prescription. But they don't have to. I guess here's where we get into the philosophical part, right? Some doctors would not want to participate in this. And just because your patient has asked for it, they are not required to participate in it. They could just say, nope, sorry, I can't help you. Or they could hand it off to a colleague. But if it's something that's against, a doctor's beliefs, they don't have to participate.
Right.
Okay. So we're just talking about California. A lot of times when I have conversations with clients, they'll say something like, well, if I ever get in this extreme condition, I'm just going to go to Oregon because they have assisted suicide in Oregon. And that was true for a long time. Oregon was the only state. They were the sort of the leaders. But as far as I can tell, their assisted suicide process is really no better than ours. The only difference that I can see is that you don't have to be an Oregon resident to avail yourself of Oregon assisted suicide, whereas in California, you do have to be a California resident. And the other thing, and this is interesting, Oregon still has a 15-day waiting period, whereas we in California, we have a 48-hour waiting period. And I think I read that just this year they attempted to shorten the 15 days in Oregon, and that legislation didn't pass. So, whatever that's worth. But that can be significant for, depending on your medical situation, to have to wait 15 days. That can be significant. So
absolutely, especially if the prognosis is 6 months too, which I think is a big factor here because I don't want to say it's hard, but it's a very niche and specific prognosis to be diagnosed within a mortality of 6 months. All right. So a lot of individuals may have a life debilitating illness, but maybe their prognosis isn't 6 months, maybe it's a year, and this doesn't apply to them too.
Right.
So.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So that's assisted suicide. And as we said a little earlier, this is legal in a number of states in the United States. And you can probably imagine what that map looks like. Legal on the left coast, legal on the right coast, not so much in the middle, as many things, but not only in California, but we do have it here. So that is of some comfort to our clients, that if you ever are in a terminal situation, you have that option. It's important to point out, though, that you have to actively participate. You have to have the cognitive ability and you have to have the physical ability to take the medication. So it's not even a solution for everybody, unfortunately. Okay, so now we're going to shift gears and start talking about euthanasia, active euthanasia. What I mean by active euthanasia is one person is going to administer the medication that will end the life of another. That is what we call active euthanasia. This is not legal in any of the states in the United States, but this conversation comes up all the time with my clients because they want to know. And I think it's, we all are worried about dementia. I'm just going to throw that out there. We all are worried about that. And what if I get dementia? Now I'm not able to ask for these things. I'm not able to administer it. I'm not eligible for assisted suicide, but I don't want to live that kind of life. So active euthanasia is available in some European countries. Ariana, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely, yes. Generally illegal, except for with the exceptions of a few. And some of them include Belgium, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and Spain all have active euthanasia, legal in some ways. I can't say that they're all the same, but they do have some sort of legal active euthanasia. In the Netherlands specifically, the patient can make that request in their advanced euthanasia directive. So that's a separate legal document that they have over there. And residence in the Netherlands is not required too.
Yeah, so that's a very important distinction between the assisted suicide that we have here. I mean, aside from the fact that we're talking about another person is actually going to administer the medication to you. You don't have to yourself, but at least in the Netherlands, in theory, it's possible for you to, in advance, say, this is what I want in this circumstance, sort of like an advanced healthcare directive. So you write on this form, it's an official advanced euthanasia directive. If I'm ever in this situation, I want active euthanasia. That's really going far, if, down that philosophical path. That's going really far, and we don't have anything even close to that in the US. I don't know as a practical matter how workable that would be for, say, one of our California clients to fill out an advanced euthanasia directive that is acceptable in the Netherlands, and then when the time comes, fly themselves to the Netherlands and say, I'm here, I want my euthanasia. I don't know as a practical matter how that really would go, but reading through the statutes, it could work. It could work. And I don't know if someday we're going to get something like that in California, where you can say, if I have dementia, and now I'm no longer communicative, I don't know anything, I don't know where I am, I don't know what I'm doing, that's what I want. I want euthanasia. I don't know, that's going pretty far. I don't know if we're ever going to get there, but anyway.
Yeah. I would say some other common illnesses, maybe Parkinson's, MS, multiple sclerosis, dementia, obviously, things like that, where, there's no 6-month prognosis, right? But the individual feels as if their quality of life has gotten to a point where it's no longer worth living, that something like this would be more suitable for them.
Right. Yeah, that is an important point, that this could be useful if it works in those kind of situations where it's a long-term, very debilitating disease. We don't have treatments for that. We don't have cures for those things at this point. So it is, in effect, a terminal illness, not necessarily a 6-month terminal illness. Yeah. Okay. Well, on that cheery note, sorry, people. An episode about assisted suicide and euthanasia is kind of a downer, but
very helpful and necessary, because I also got asked this question a few times in the past couple months, and it's good information. The more you're prepared and thinking about these things, the more control that you do have. And I think that's the most powerful thing, is just having the control when you don't anymore.
That's 100%. I agree with that. Things that seem scary and threatening, if you can just feel like you've got control about some aspect of it, you're going to feel a lot better. Okay. Thank you, Ariana. This has been a very interesting conversation. And I hope you all listening at home got a lot out of it. We appreciate your listening, and we look forward to connecting with you next time.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Absolute Trust Talk Live. If you enjoyed listening in, then don't forget to subscribe. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you may listen by searching Absolute Trust Talk. While you're there, we would also love for you to leave us a review. And then why not share your favorite episodes with family, friends, or colleagues too? You can find all of our shows and corresponding show notes by visiting absolutetrustcouncil.com. You'll also find a variety of other free resources, including our ebooks, videos, blogs, presentations, and more. If you need help with your estate planning or administration, we also offer a free discovery call to help get the process started. You can find more information on booking your session by visiting absolutetrustcouncil.com/scheduling. If you join us for the broadcast, you can submit questions during the show. But if not, don't worry. You can always get in touch with us by sending a quick message to info@absolutetrustcouncil.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you soon.
This podcast is not meant to take the place of legal advice from an attorney and does not create an attorney-client relationship. If you do have a legal question or issue, please consult with an attorney.